Hi, this is Mike Henriksen from Velocity 2018 in San Jose. I'm here with Martin from Microsoft. Martin, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Nice to be back. Nice to see you.
You too. So we talked last year, and at that time, I asked you going forward, what would you like to see happen? And you said you'd like to see Microsoft get even better at doing open source.
Yeah, wow.
Have you gotten better at open source?
I hope so. So yeah, that's fascinating. We've been doing a lot more open source projects. The Microsoft organization on GitHub is now the biggest of the big company organizations. .NET's now been open source, you know, and a lot more engineers in Microsoft are day in, day out working on open source projects.
And where's that coming from? Is that coming from the top? I mean, is it everyone like thinks open source now?
It was one of those bottom up, top down meet moments. Individual engineers, sort of at the grassroots level, knowing how to build software and wanting to contribute back, and then top down understanding that open source software was becoming more and more prevalent, and by Microsoft not getting involved in open source, they weren't playing on a level playing field with everybody else. So we needed to get more involved and needed to structure our business in a way where our business models were a lot more open source friendly, you know, where we could do stuff and be contributing to open source and it work. It'd be sustainable.
So that contribution is one thing I wanted to ask you about too. You guys seem to be contributing back a lot and being good stewards in the community of open source projects. Yeah,
that's good to see that perception outside. I certainly hope we are. One of the things I spent a lot of time with when we started introducing open source into the company and doing that whole change management exercise was stressing the importance of contributing back to open source projects. And the way I explained it to managers in Microsoft who hadn't been doing open source for their entire careers, was it's a bit like taking when you branched off from somebody else's code. If you're not continuously integrating with that other branch, then it's very hard to pull new features over. So it's very hard for you to get that code and bring it into your software. So what was the point using open source at all if you're forking? So by contributing back, you can now take upstream, you can now take the open source library and use it because it has all the features you need. And then you get all the benefits of the testing and the bug fixes and all the other features everybody else has done. So I certainly feel that we're contributing back, and we have a lot of people with Microsoft email addresses contributing out to GitHub now, so that's good.
Well, contributing to GitHub.
Yeah.
So let's and let's talk about that a little bit. So, what does Microsoft bring to the table for GitHub? Let's not think about what GitHub brings for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Let's flop that around and say, what does Microsoft bring to the table for GitHub?
Yeah. So probably worth saying, at the point we're recording, we've just announced we're going to acquire GitHub, that at the point we're recording, that deal hasn't completed yet.
Right.
So we're in the regulatory approval stages. We're going to regulators and chatting with those people. So we'll probably have hopefully by the end of the year that acquisition will be complete.
But the two companies have said yes.
The two companies have said yes. The boards of the two companies have said yes. Now we just have to hope everybody else is happy with that. But right now the two companies are operating entirely independently and are separate companies as we're recording this now anyway. But back to the original question, which I'm trying to remember now. What does
Microsoft bring to the table?
What does Microsoft? Well, Microsoft brings to the table with GitHub. A whole lot of resources in terms of we've got a revenue stream around Azure and around some of our products and things that we can use to fund open source development and fund development of GitHub itself. So we bring a big checkbook, and we also bring a lot of expertise in terms of selling to the enterprise market. And we've got the whole enterprise sales force. So hopefully we can help there.
And that's in international sales.
Exactly. Yeah. But the goal with GitHub is to, right now, as I say, the acquisition hasn't finished, so they're an entirely separate company. Even when they are acquired into Microsoft, they're going to come in. It's a model we used with LinkedIn as a wholly owned subsidiary. And so, GitHub, we want GitHub to stay GitHub. We like GitHub. Otherwise, we wouldn't have spent an awful lot of money buying GitHub, you know. So we need we need them to keep their independence and be an open platform for developers, and we need everybody else to know that this is an open platform developer. So we can't be, you know, tying things directly into GitHub. It needs to be kind of one level out.
So you were acquired.
Yes, I joined
you
for acquisition.
joined as an acquisition.
Yeah.
So did your life change drastically?
I was a much smaller acquisition than the GitHub acquisition is. You know, it was like a startup of 5 people, and what's been fascinating for me, I was joining from a startup of 5 people, joining this huge company.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how I was going to do, how I was going to survive, if it was going to be fun or not, but I was going to, you know, do it for 2 years, see how it went. And what's been fascinating is that Microsoft have moved more and more towards how I was working. So I haven't had to move to be Microsoft. Microsoft, luckily, this wasn't, you know, anything to do with me, but Microsoft have moved more and more to how I wanted to work, moved more to open source, moved more into not just Windows development, but cross-platform development, developing for Mac and for Linux and everything else, developing in a much more agile way, developing in a more DevOps way. All these things have happened, so it's been great for me. GitHub, with having, you know, obviously that being a separate entity and having that brand affinity with developers, because developers are such a key important audience for Microsoft, they're in an even stronger position, because Microsoft don't want to mess that up. You know, this is, like, we've been telling people, hey, you know, we're more open source friendly now. We're sort of demonstrating by our, we're not trying to make people trust us. We're trying to show people, look, this is who we are now. This is how we're contributing. If we were to mess the GitHub thing up, then, you know, then we'll lose the trust of a generation of developers. So they're in a much stronger position, I think.
So what would your biggest piece of advice be to a GitHubber coming into Microsoft?
Yeah.
Like, let's say the acquisition happens, everything goes forward.
Yeah.
Day one, what changes for GitHubbers? Anything, or
they'll get a blue badge, with, you know, which was, like, I remember when it got acquired, that was like, wow, a Microsoft badge. That's when it became real. They get access to a whole bunch of toys that they didn't get access to in terms of resources and people. I can pick up the phone and speak to, like, Eric Gamma or Anders Halsberg or these absolute legends. I think my advice would be not to get carried away. You don't get carried away too much, and don't try and please too much, because when you get acquired, it might be different for those coming in as a big team that's staying together, but it's very tempting to sort of, you know, to want to please, you know, to be a puppy. You go, I want to do what you want me to do, whatever you want me to do. Don't. Like, focus on doing what you're doing. They're amazing at delivering what they're doing. They've got an amazing product, an amazing, you know, affinity with developers. Focus on that. Stay good at what you're good at, and then look around and see what you can leverage that Microsoft's got that you can build on. So maybe some of the enterprise Salesforce, maybe some of our cloud platform, maybe some of our machine learning and AI technologies. You know. But do that very, very deliberately and in a controlled way, so that you're not, otherwise you'll get lost. You know, you need to focus on delivering, because that's kind of why you were bought, because, you know, so focus on that first.
So is the culture at Microsoft still changing? Is it shifting? Are you guys in, like, a transformation?
I think it's always, every organization is always changing.
Continual transformation.
Continual transformation. One of the interesting things about Microsoft is it's very deliberate transformation, and it's a very, Satchid calls it a growth mindset, but it's Satchid Nadella, the CEO. It's very much how deliberately thinking about how to get better. And that's DevOps, really, isn't it? You know, a continual improvement process. How do we improve how we do business? How do we deliver more value into the hands of our customers quicker, at higher quality? And Microsoft's continually changing. So open source, you know, the open source culture has definitely sort of infected Microsoft. The more and more people that are contributing to open source projects, the more you see the culture of Microsoft change. So I think we spoke last year about inner source, kind of people contributing to, you know, sharing and collaborating in a very open source way inside the enterprise. That's definitely happened. But it's also small things, like we're still a very email-centric culture. We use Teams a lot now, you know, like Slack type stuff. We use those types of things. But we're still very email centric. And I remember somebody on the team, you know, when you have a baby and things, you send out the obligatory, you know, we've had a baby email. And everybody goes, oh, you know, oh, nice baby email sort of thing. And this particular, a dev on the .NET team sent out a, hey, we've had a baby, here's my baby sort of thing. And the first comment back was +1, looks good to merge sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, open source has infected the org. So that was great to see.
Yeah.
One of the things that GitHub do really well is their entire business runs on GitHub, from what I can tell. So their lawyers use GitHub.
Oh, so they're eating their own.
They eat their own dog food, and Microsoft do that already. And so I work on the team, the VSTS team, Visual Studio Team Services team. We build a lot of the engineering tools for Microsoft, and we use VSTS to deploy VSTS. But the limit is our dev team. You know, we don't have the lawyers using it. We don't have marketing use it. GitHub run their entire business on GitHub. Lawyers send pull requests. Lawyers, you know, people in HR raise issues. It
actually makes sense for lawyers.
It really does.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd like to see some of that. That would be great to see some of that come into the company as well. You know, like a bit more of that strong dog food culture that they've got the whole way. So yeah, it's great to see. Yeah.
So if you were to project a year out from now, again, like let's say I opened up with.
That's pretty accurate.
We talked about last year. Yeah.
I'm not going to get a good record with that.
So, you know, because there could be more acquisitions coming. You never know.
Who knows? Yeah.
You know, we don't know what the appetite is for it. Yeah. So
I know my boss's corporate Amex is maxed out right now anyway. So Nat Friedman, he's going to be the new. So worth saying he's going to be the new CEO of GitHub when he comes in. Nat Friedman,
okay.
And I honestly can't think of a better new CEO for GitHub than Nat. And the fact that he gets to bring the resources of Microsoft in, because he's got a ton of experience in like the GNOME world and Xamarin, so he's been acquired by Microsoft before. And when he came from Microsoft, he was working at Xamarin, and they had an expensive commercial product, which is now open source. You know, so he's used to that being enabled. So yeah, he's going to be an amazing CEO for him, already based in San Francisco. So sorry, you were saying the question.
If we sit down 12 months from now, what would you like to say has happened during this period of time? Like, let's fast forward.
Yeah. So hopefully by then the acquisition will be complete. Hopefully, I would like to have seen that the world didn't end, and you know the strongest fears of some of the people on like Reddit and Hacker News and things. Some of those things haven't come to pass, and that GitHub's stronger than it has been, and is progressing really well and having a good velocity of delivering features to developers. I'd like to see Microsoft's culture. It would be great to see some more of the GitHub flow type models working in. So, reviewing blog posts with PR people using pull requests, or some of those types of changes starting to come into the company.
Or building on top of that to review their
and then also we're continuing our DevOps journey. So we've been doing our DevOps journey for nearly 10 years now, and DevOps is never a destination; it's always improvement. I think there's a lot of things we can learn from each other in terms of like live site cultures, how we keep our GitHub service availability is just phenomenal. Like what could be learned from some of those sorts of things as well. It's going to be fascinating to see. It's going to be it's really exciting time to work at Microsoft.
So you're really talking about a continual transformation. You're never going to stop this change and growth and change and growth.
No. It's what you got to get better at getting better. On my team, we've been on our DevOps journey. We delivered more features last year than we did in the previous 4 years combined. And that's because we're continuing trying to improve our velocity and continue trying to get better at doing things. And I see that happening across the whole org. Now, different parts of a large company like Microsoft move at different speeds, so it'd be great to see everybody moving along this same line. But continual transformation. Let's hope so.
Yep. Excellent, Martin. We look forward to that conversation.
Thank you very much. Take care.